Hey everybody, welcome to season 5 of What's IGN Crushing On. I'm Karen Welby Solomon and I'm your host, and we're here to talk about what's hot in pop culture. Today's episode is brought to you by Syntech. Syntech is a technology company that sources and distributes industry-leading products and brands from around the world. Welcome to episode 4 of season 5. This week on the show, we are joined once again by Leanne. Say hi, Leanne.
Hi, Leanne.
Oh, okay, dad jokes. We're starting this episode with dad jokes.
It's a classic, though.
You might have heard her laughter, but Rebecca is on the show this week as well. Hi, Rebecca.
Hello. Yo, yo, yo.
Today's show is jam-packed. We will be discussing the drama around the film Don't Worry, Darling. We will be talking about our favorite celebrity architectural digest homes. And we chat to Michael Porter from the Home Channel about the amazing new show Afrimaxx, as well as Carly Lawrence, who you would remember from season 2 of Too Hot to Handle. So that's a lot that's going on. But please stay tuned. And of course, we have our Crushing On segment, which we will be chatting about at the end of the show. So let's start first and talk about this Don't Worry, Darling drama. So if you don't know, Don't Worry, Darling is an upcoming drama thriller film directed by Olivia Wilde and starring Florence Pugh and Harry Styles, as well as like a lot of other people like Chris Pine, Nick Kroll, Gemma Chan. It's set in the 50s and, it seems quite compelling. But apparently the drama in the film is not as exciting as the drama around it. Have you guys seen the trailer of the film?
No.
I saw the trailer, and I know the drama about the trailer, which kind of feeds into this whole narrative. But yeah, I saw the trailer ages ago. I think it popped up on my timeline or something.
Yeah, and it's basically, I don't know, it seems like Florence is like a Stepford type wife, and they brought into like this world where everything is sort of like perfect, like the village that they live in, but it's also sort of like a cult-esque Truman Show type thing. I don't know. It seems like a lot of things mix into one, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of intrigued.
Yep.
But before all of the drama of the last week came out, there was already a lot of chatter because number one, Shia LeBeouf was supposed to play the male lead, and he was replaced by Harry Styles. And then shortly after that, Harry and Olivia Wilde started dating, and of course that was chaotic because all of his fans were like, Harry's no longer single. And I imagine them all as British.
Yeah.
And Olivia broke up with Jason Sudeikis for Harry Styles. So, I mean, there was a lot of drama around that. And then there was rumors coming from the set that Olivia was so involved with Harry that she wasn't directing the film properly. And Florence was the one doing most of the work and carrying the weight. So all this has been going on. And then the trailer releases and Florence does not promote the trailer. Now, say what you might, Florence Pugh is an extremely online person. She is, she's always on her Instagram story sharing some nonsense, making jokes. Every episode, I mean, she was like a guest star on Hawkeye. And every episode she was on Hawkeye, she made a post on her Instagram. She live watched the episodes. She, made jokes and things like that.
She's very vocal about promoting her work and getting the word out there.
So her not promoting Don't Worry, Darling had people raising eyebrows, especially because she did promote her other film, Oppenheimer, during that time. So people were like, what can I
Interesting.
This is quite compelling. And then, more rumors started coming out and more stories. And then over the past week, um, Olivia Wilde was on the cover of Variety magazine, and she did like this very in-depth interview where she spoke about like the movie and how important Harry and Florence were, and how Florence understood how Harry was like a newbie to the scene, and he understood how she was like an experienced actor. She's the star of the film. And then also she spoke to Vogue, and she was talking about like the sex scenes in the movie and about like how important it was to show a woman orgasming and a woman, like a man going down on a woman and that sort of thing in film. And Florence didn't take kindly to that. And she commented back that she didn't like the way that the film was reduced to just a sex scenes where there's more important things. And she shared the version of the trailer, which she ended up sharing was the one without the sex scenes. So, which made people more like, Then the news came out this week that Florence will only be doing one promotion for the film, which is at the Venice Film Festival. She won't be doing any press about it or anything, which is also strange because it's not like she's a side character. She's the star of the show, of the film.
She's the
Whatever. So,
lead.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's the lead character. So her not doing any press is, I mean, I suppose they can make excuses around the fact that she is filming Dune Part 2 in Budapest, but I hardly think her role is that big that she can't do a little bit of press. I mean, we've seen people like take a little time out of filming something just to do press for whatever film is coming out. So that's been going on. And then,
I
sorry, I'm
love
just
that
going to,
also. I
yeah, go
wanted to
ahead.
add the Shia LaBeouf part because I think that also
Yeah,
just adds so
yeah, that's
much
what I was
like
going to,
depth. So over all of these things, because I mean, like you said, Olivia's just been focusing on like the sex angle of it and how Harry's been so amazing because it's like his first big, I think, film. But she basically said that Shia LaBeouf left, correct? Or
he
that
was fired. He was
he
fired.
was fired from the show or from the movie, and then he struck back, releasing texts and videos from Olivia, basically asking him to stay on and saying that she's not being completely truthful because the reason he left was that there wasn't enough time to rehearse. And there was also definite allusions to tension between him and Miss Flo, as she put it in that video. Because there's this video where she asks him if there's a way that they could work it out and he could come back, and she's really committed to making like the project succeed, blah blah blah. But I just like, yeah, the way she was like Miss Flo, it kind of was a bit spicy, just a little bit spicy. So there's definitely, at first I was just like, oh, it's that thing of Hollywood where they're putting two women against each other. But like the more stuff, and also it's like very petty things that people were pointing out, like Stans were pointing out, like she didn't like this post about her, or she didn't post the trailer and she's not promoting it properly, or she subtly threw shade about not making it about sex when Olivia's whole campaign is about the sex of the film or about female pleasure. So it all sounded like circumstantial, but like after the Shia LaBeouf thing came out, I was like, no, and the Flow not promoting it other than Venice Film Festival. I was like, oh no, there's definitely something else.
Some drama there. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, one more thing I saw that was interesting. Because the whole thing about Flo having to direct or being annoyed with Olivia and Harry on the set was interesting. But someone pointed out that they started filming before it was official that Harry and Olivia were together, and technically while Olivia was still with Jason. And Jason is besties with Zach Braff, who was Flo's partner at the time. So it's also that thing of like, this is my man's bestie, and clearly there's shady stuff going on, and I don't think that would have helped the situation at all.
I know you want to move on, but just so this is all new news to me. I only learned of this film. It's a film now that you mentioned it, and I only know Olivia from the OC. But this all sounds to me almost like just yet another like way of marketing a film in a subtle way, let's put drama around this. But who's Florence Pugh?
Oh
Should
my
I
gosh.
if I saw her face, I'd probably know who she is. But what else has she been in?
She has been
Okay.
in Midsummer. She has been in Black
Little
Widow,
Women.
Little Women.
Okay. So
She's
has she
Oscar.
done any? She's an Oscar. Oh, she won an Oscar.
No, she's Oscar nominated.
But like, I'm assuming that she's not done because she's still probably protecting her brand in a way. So I'd assume that a lot of the stuff that she does is sort of not risque. So maybe this was a personal choice, for her own future in the industry to not have that be the focus of. And I think it's a strong stance to take. But I don't think it's a bad one necessarily. And if she's done that in the past as well to avoid those types of topics or, not focus on those types of topics, then I think good for her.
100%. I think what you're saying is correct, and it's obviously very important to her, and she's had a tremendously amazing career. She's a very good actor. I will say that she's very talented. And what she has done in a short space of time has been like amazing and all that stuff. But obviously it's very important to her to protect her brand and to protect the career trajectory that she envisions for herself. So I mean, it's correct for her to sort of align to what she wants and say what she wants to and choose media appearances that she wants to do and say what she wants. And she has been like, I mean, the thing is that, other than the comment about the sex scene, she's been relatively quiet. And I mean, people can say what they want and they can see it as an attack back.
Exactly.
But I mean,
She's not engaging.
Yeah, you can't, people won't be able to pull up other than, like saying, I don't want my role reduced to a sex scene. You can't pull up and say like, oh, I mean, there's been some great feuds over over celebrity lifetime and some amazing comments. So, it's always funny to go back. But yeah, I saw somebody said they're like, I'm not interested in watching Don't Worry Darling. I want to see the documentary about the making of Don't Worry Darling.
100%.
Yeah. So
I just think it's for me, it's not the feud. I think it's like it's the insight into the people. So like Olivia Wilde, I was totally rooting for because I loved Booksmart, which was her first directorial debut. Redundancy. She made Booksmart, and it is funny. It's heartwarming. It's hilarious. It's like all those good things. So I was super keen for Don't Worry, Darling, but there's been, I think, just in fans pointing out stuff around Flo and this it's alleged feud or whatever. I think there's been a lot of other things that have come out around Olivia being slightly problematic. From the when did the relationship with Harry start to the way she has promoted Harry in this film, and kind of like elevated him in ways that maybe aren't necessary, especially when she's all about female empowerment and this is a female-led film and blah blah blah. To the clip where essentially she's dismissing Flo's discomfort with Shia on set by asking him to come back. Like there's a lot of things that are telling, I think. And so that's probably, like you said, Karen, that's more interesting to me than like the alleged feud. It's just like, I think it was Misa. Misa put it so well. Sometimes you should just know less about people so you can enjoy them in peace. Like, it's reminding me of that.
So yeah, I look forward to watching Don't Worry Darling to see how this all plays out. So what's next is that it's gonna premiere at Venice Film Festival, And then the barrage of reviews are going to come out, and then we will learn more about if the film was actually good and what reviewers, the ones at Venice Film Festival, thought about it. And then obviously until the cinematic release. Next, we're going to chat to Carly Lawrence from Too Hot to Handle. So Carly was one of the finalists in season 2. She's from Canada, and that was a very fun season of Too Hot to Handle. So for those of you who don't know, like, it's one of the biggest reality shows on Netflix, but Too Hot to Handle, they bring together a group of singles from around the world, and they put them in a house. But like, so the singles think they're going to do like they're coming for like a debaucherous week or month or whatever. Can't remember how long it is. But they think they're coming for like a crazy month where they can just have sex and party and stuff like that. But then this like little AI cone pops up, and called Lana, and she tells them like, hey, the prize money is so much, and every time you do anything like sexual, even like kissing, then or even touching, then you lose money from the pot. And then at the end of season 2, what happened was there was so sometimes they have to do like a series of relationship workshops to like learn how to make meaningful relationships, and they get tempted and all these things. And then at the end of season 2, what happened was there was finalists. So Lana identified 3 finalists who sort of like improved the most from the person that they came there as to the person that they left. And the 3 was Cam, Marvin, and Carly. And then the contestants voted for who they think deserves to win. So Marvin won that season. But Carly just
spoilers at all?
Yeah, but I mean, there are 4 seasons. That was season 2. So
like, wait, I haven't seen that. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler alert for something that came out in the beginning of 2021. But yeah, so Carly chats to us about her journey on Too Hot to Handle, and Carly has since gone on to get married to Bennett, who was in Love Island USA. So they have a reality show relationship, and she talks a bit about that, and like, you know, Carly's journey was, I talk about this more in the podcast, but Carly's journey really resonated with me because she came in really insecure and like not like she was confident in herself, but not confident in relationships. And then, you know, she kind of like accepted like how badly she was treated. And in the end, she starts to stand up for herself, and she starts making like active decisions. And it was so amazing to watch. So she chats a bit about that too. So here's our interview with Carly Lawrence. Hi, Carly. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. I just woke up. Busy day, but it's good.
So, firstly, I want to say congratulations on your wedding. I know it's been a couple of months.
Thank you.
But how's newlywed life been for you?
Newlywed life has been great. You know what? It's not different. Like, I feel like because we didn't do a huge ceremony yet, and, you know, there wasn't really, we didn't get to have our big wedding that we wanted. I think that this one was more laid back. So for us, it didn't change anything. I mean, like, I guess a little bit, like, in a security wise, I mean, like, I know he's not going anywhere, so I guess it kind of changed that, but it's all the same, honestly. Marriage is the same.
So, like, tell us a little bit more about how the two of you got together. Like, it was just so cute. Like I don't know, and it was so surprising and just lovely.
Yeah, so he DM'd me on Instagram, and then from there we started messaging. He came over like that night, and I actually ended up getting COVID the next day. And then so he stayed with me for 2 weeks because he got COVID from me. And then yeah, we just never stopped hanging out, really, if I'm being honest.
That is like the most modern love story I've ever heard.
I know.
A DM and COVID in one. Like,
I know, it's so true. I always forget to mention, like, podcasts in the past, I always forget to mention that, yeah, I had COVID. So he ended up staying here for 2 weeks and we didn't leave each other's side. And then, you know what? We've actually spent every single day together since I've met him, except for 3 days on Christmas.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's like a whirlwind. That's a whirlwind.
I know.
I love it. So, okay, so tell me, when you entered Too Hot to Handle, like what kind of show did you think you were entering? And it's been a couple of years, but
Parties in Paradise.
oh, okay.
So I thought it was like a party drinking show. And then obviously when I was there, everyone knew about me, I think. Because everyone was just like more into like, I think the reality world, whereas I wasn't. So I really didn't even know that, like, I didn't watch a show. I didn't know I'd even be casted for a show like that. So for me, I was really like honest on camera and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I was so confused.
And so, like, do you think the concept of the show works? Like, do you think it helped you with regards to how you handle relationships now? Like, the point of the show is supposed to.
I would say maybe a little bit. I think just maybe it gave me more life experience and relationship experience because it's such a crazy thing that not many people get to do in their lifetime. And it's nothing that you can explain. You really need to live it and do it to understand how it kind of changes you after. I think I really chilled out afterwards. And it's crazy because growing up, I always kind of wanted to be more online and have people that follow me and have a following. And I always was too scared to. And then I think once I did the show and it was kind of posted, I mean, I couldn't go back. Once the show, I was on the show, I was on it. You know, there was no running from how people perceive me and there was no running from being online anymore. And so it kind of put me out there. And then I realized when it's not as bad as you think. I think social media can be so scary too when you're younger because you're scared of getting hated on or what if you do something wrong. And so for me, once everything came out and I was, you know, out there in the world and everyone was able to watch me on a TV show and it was positive feedback, I was like, I probably shouldn't be so nervous. And it made me more calm down a bit about how like life isn't like, it can be more calm.
Yeah. And also like the show is such a global show. Like, you know, it goes live everywhere at once, obviously on Netflix. So getting that sort of exposure all at once. I know you guys filmed it and then it aired, obviously. And then, you know, that period from, you know, filming it and then it going live. Like, what was that like? What is that experience like?
So I remember I filmed and then I went back to normal life because for me, I remember at the end, the last day, the producers came up to us and they said, what do you expect from this experience? And I was like, absolutely nothing. Like, I didn't expect to get a following. I didn't expect for people to follow. I didn't expect for my world to change. You know, I didn't expect it at all. So I was like, nothing. Like, I'm going to go back and keep bartending and keep modeling in the city, which I did do. I went back to Toronto and I just lived a normal life. And I was like, you never know how these things are going to take off. Plus, COVID was kind of coming to not an end, but I would say that not everyone was at home. Some people were traveling. So not everyone was watching the show. So I was like, you know what? If nothing happens from it, great. If something does, then I mean, I couldn't even think like that because I was just like, no way that this is going to happen for me. And then within a week, I know I had like 1 million on Instagram.
Sure.
I went from 4,000 to 1 million to the whole world then watching me kind of. And it was just insane. Luckily, I had gotten a manager beforehand. So she was really great with helping me kind of maneuver through the new life. And then I moved to the States and then that was it. It was crazy.
So are you still friends with anyone from your season?
Yeah, well, I live with Nathan.
Oh.
Yeah. So me and Nathan have been best friends since he's my closest, obviously. He's like a brother to me. So me and him have always kept close. We've lived together now for a year. We're moving into another place together. Emily came here a couple months ago. I haven't seen Cam. I see Rob. He's come here. I've seen Peter. I've seen Melinda. I see Chase all the time because he lives next door. So yeah, I keep up with kind of everyone. Like the main people that were on the show or like the most like kind of people that would be known, I would say I keep up with, yes. But like some of the other girls, no.
So do you have any regrets from your time on the show?
You know what? Yes, that's a good question. I think it was more just like when you're so in the zone, they say 2 days in the house is like 2 weeks out in the outside world, or no, 2 days outside world is like 2 weeks in the house. So like you really like go through a lot of feelings in one day. And so for me, I think I was just so overwhelmed and I kind of forgot to like, just like chill out. It doesn't matter that much. Like out of this house, like realistically, it's not going to matter. Like I was just so caught up in, I don't know, I guess like being with Chase or being with Joey. And I was like, I wish I just took time to just like have fun. Cause I think I was just so focused on like who I was going to be with. And looking back, I'm like, I didn't even end up with any of those guys anyways, you know, like maybe I should have just had more fun and stuck with the girls. But at the time you really like are into it. Like they're really good at keeping you in a bubble. Like we weren't allowed to know the time of day, the date. Wow. Like we were on a strict schedule. We woke up when they woke us up, we ate and we went to bed. Like it was not, we didn't know what was going on. We were like little kids, honestly.
But also that was also probably an experience for you, like at that time, going through those different relationships or worrying about those guys, going through that brought you to where you are now. Do you?
Yeah, 100%. And like, also, I think another thing is too, is like one thing that I think I was good at in the house was like, I didn't think about the cameras. Like, I think maybe some people really like thought about how they'd be perceived outwards. So maybe they were acting, or maybe they were just trying to do something. And for me, I was very like just myself. Like, I could care less about who is watching it. Like, I'm also just like that, I think, in general. Like, I was just like, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, if someone doesn't like me from the show, it's probably because they wouldn't like me in person, because I was myself on the show. Like, even like the weird dorky things, I would say, like, that's genuinely stuff I would say in front groups. And so for me, I think it was just, yeah, I kind of forget the question, but I think I answered it.
No, you answered.
Okay.
So, I mean, how would you say, other than like your following, how would you say your life has changed since you've been on the show?
Well, moving countries has been a big thing. And I don't think people realize, like, I mean, I think people do realize it, but America and Canada, it's so close and they are so similar. But for me, it's like, I have moved to America and I don't get to see my family a lot. And for me, I'm used to my friend group back home and my family. So I've kind of come into a new city where I'm like, I don't know anyone, and I kind of get anxious, I guess, to go out. But that's like a big thing. And then just work life, because I'm used to working like 4 bartending jobs and modeling. So for me, my days were so busy because if I didn't make my rent, those shifts, like, I was screwed. Like, whereas with here now, my job is very different. Like, it's very more relaxed. I have more time. But for me, a person with high anxiety, I never feel like I'm doing enough. So I'm constantly trying to keep myself busy. So I have a bunch of projects I'm working on, but I guess it's just more like time to explore, which is nice.
Yeah. I relate to the being the person with high anxiety, but on that point, like, I think a lot of women, and myself included, related to you on the show because, a lot of us, we struggle when it comes to confidence in relationships and coming into our own. And so have you had like a lot of women reaching out to you saying like they saw themselves in you and your journey on your season?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of women connected to me in that sense. And I was also kind of like between people and I didn't know what was really going on. And I didn't really know what was going on with the girls. And I think a lot of people connected to me in that way. And also like, yeah, I would say like the confidence thing for sure. Even like post show, when I post things on my story, or like say I'm having a mental health day where I want to stay in bed, I get a lot of replies about girls being like, oh my God, like I'm like that too. Like sometimes social media, and I'm really good at taking social media breaks and taking breaks in general to just kind of get away from it, because it can be so toxic. Even last night I was in bed, like with my husband, I was like, oh my God, I'm just so drained. Like I can't scroll. I can't do it. I need some space from it.
And do you feel any kind of pressure to be a certain way because so many women or girls feel that, they relate to you or see a role model in you or something like that?
So in a sense, yes, because I always feel like I want to be able to like talk openly, but then sometimes I'm also scared to put myself online. So for me, I'm like, I don't want to make my page like something that scares people away, but I also like to be open with like my mental health and like my journey and things like that. But I feel like I'm not ever doing enough. And I'm also like, I don't know how to talk about it. And like, that's one thing that I'm talking with my team about. I'm like, I really want to get into talking about mental health and things that I care about, but it's just finding the right outlet and like where I want to do it and how I can get people engaging with it.
It is tough. So what is next for you?
I'm starting perfume line.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm really excited. I love perfume. If you know me, well, this is another thing too. I never put online how much I love perfume, but everyone in my life knows I have tried every perfume under the sun, every celebrity perfume, and I'm like, you know what? I remember when I was younger and I used to watch YouTube and like Baccarat Rouge was like the big thing and all these name brands that I couldn't afford at the time. And I was like, oh, like, you kind of think in your head, like, well, if I can't buy this stuff, I'm not going to be as pretty as the girl that's wearing it. So for me, I was like, I want to create something that people love and it's not going to blow their bank and they're going to be able to enjoy it because I mean, honestly, I'm making it for me and I just hope people love it as much as I do. And I just hope that, I want to be able to like let girls have like a nice, sexy, like kind of high end scent, but at a lower price so girls can afford it. Because I remember I could not, and I hated thinking like, I can't buy that thing. Like I'm not like her because I can't afford it,
Yeah, I remember when I'm obviously quite a bit older than you, but like when I was younger, like the Britney Spears fantasy perfume was like that, like it. And I was like, once I had that, I was like, I was hot shit. I was like, nobody can touch me. The
Yeah,
minute I have that,
100%.
that
100%.
Britney
And I just want
Spears.
to do something I love. Like, I just love it. And I think for me, like, fragrance is just such, I don't even know. It's like, can be so empowering because it's like, this is me. You know, when you walk into your room and you're like, that girl, like, you know, Rihanna apparently smells insane. Like, everyone talks about Rihanna. I'm like, I want to be that girl. When I wear expensive perfume and people don't compliment me, I'm like, well, this is a waste. So I'm never wearing it again. You know, like, we're not blowing the bank anymore. No one realizes.
So I want to ask you the question we ask everyone, which was, who was your first celebrity crush?
Dylan O'Brien.
Oh my, okay, that's still though, like he
I
still
love him.
looks good.
Oh my God, he's gorgeous. I remember like before I was married, I was like trying to find him and I'm like, I can't find him on anything. He doesn't have Instagram. He only has Twitter. I'm like, I'm never going to get in contact with this guy. Sorry. Nathan's in the back.
But thank you, Carly, so much. This was lovely. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Of course. Thank you so much.
That was our chat with Carly Lawrence from Too Hot to Handle Season 2. Now we're going to be getting into our housey side of the podcast. And as a lifelong and top billing stan, celebrity houses are some of my favorite things to talk about. I say like a lifelong top billing stan, person who still regularly watches HGTV and a home channel because it's my relaxing watches. But Architectural Digest does this amazing series on YouTube where they tour celebrity homes. And, you know, it might not necessarily be their main house. It could be their house that they, you know, their holiday house. It could be their whatever, New York house. So we're going to chat a little bit about our favorite celebrity homes as featured on Architectural Digest. So, Leanne, do you want to go first and tell us about yours?
So this was really tricky because it's a weird thing, right? Like you said, I don't think these are people's everyday homes. So a lot of times you look at the pictures and you're like, oh my God, I love that lounge idea. But then you like look at their bathrooms or their bedrooms and I'm like, you can't live here. Like, this doesn't seem functional. So like Maggie Gyllenhaal has this amazing fireplace and dining room and lounge setup, but then her bath looks like something out of the 1800s. Like it's a brass tub with a curtain. And I'm like, my girl, but why?
Non-functional. Yeah.
Not functional. Like, I don't think that's like, or maybe that's people's vibes. Maybe you want to feel like you in the 1800s. We all have a good period piece. Like maybe that's your vibe. So this was tricky. So I chose the house based on like, I would live in this. Like every single room has pieces I love. It's amazing. And it has to go to my Christmas movie queen, Vanessa Hudgens. It's her. And Bex, I know you.
I was judging it before the podcast. Like, why
you were judging it? And
big leaves in your house? It's so unnecessary.
The pampas grass. And I know you found it because of the baby grand, but like I was looking through her house and I'm like, it's gorgeous. Like the color scheme, and it looks so livable, like cozy and comfortable and functional, but also still very well thought out and designed. And like, yeah, I'm gonna go with Vanessa Hudgens.
Well, quick question: what do you think about the wallpaper? That one with the birds? It's just like
in her breakfast nook,
anxiety inducing. Yeah. So you want to go there?
No, but remember, you don't. Yeah, but you don't face that. You face like
it's
the
still,
windows
like you
and
enter
stuff.
the space, and then the space is just like And
but I think everything else, I feel like everything else is so calming and peaceful and like sparse that this balances it out. I'm not gonna lie though, her bathroom is what got me, like with the tub and the shower, and then his and hers sink with the black. It looks like you're in a hotel. Like it looks like you live in a hotel. It's beautiful.
And it's functional.
How do the birds go, Bix?
Ah! The birds behind you, I can just use that as I can overlay it. Like play it in the corner of Vanessa Hudgens' breakfast nook, just to add to the experience. For me, I don't know who this person is. So it says, Ryan Murphy safeguards Hans Hofmann's former painting studio in Provincetown. So I don't know who that is, where that is, but I'm a big fan of wood. and I'm a big fan of like no, but in all seriousness, do you know? Wait, should I know who they are? Who are these people? Okay, tell me first.
Ryan,
Who's this,
okay.
Leanne?
Ryan Murphy. You asking Leanne or do you
God.
asking me?
Either. Is this a bad thing? Do I like
No.
like a bad person? Okay.
No, Ryan Murphy is the creator of Popular, Nip Tuck, Glee, American Horror Story,
Oh wow.
Feud, Hollywood,
Sure.
all of those shows.
Your knowledge of pop culture never ceases to astound me, Karen.
I actually really like
Continuously.
Ryan Murphy.
I feel like you could have just said Glee, and I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But I like houses that like the more you live in them, the more beautiful they become. And so this house, I don't know if you had a look at it, but it's like wooden floors and like just like simple stuff, man, and like just simple paintings, minimalist. You don't need too much. You don't need unnecessary onnodige like grass in the corner. That's not, you know what I mean? No judgment, but maybe I'd take the chandelier away because it looks like a safety hazard. But I think the high ceiling is another plus in the main like living section. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with
cozy.
that.
Sounds good. So for me, I don't think there's any house that I looked at that I was like, oh, this is where I would stay. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
like
okay.
where I would stay, where I would be like, I wouldn't change anything because your girl has a very clear idea of what she wants. But I must say, firstly, Shonda Rhimes' kitchen gives me the like Nancy Meyer's dream kitchen that I've always wanted in my life. Like that's number
Lots of
one.
gadgets?
No, it's just that open white, like open plan white, like be big and beautiful. I like a big kitchen. But that's my first one. But then obviously like probably the one closest to my own personal taste would be Bryce Dallas Howard's very pink house.
Nice.
It looks slightly like, if you look at it, it probably looks very 50s, but that is also kind of like my style. So it's very light pink and green and very like onnodige wallpaper.
You can judge our wallpaper. That's also very, very
I like wallpaper though. And
this is gorgeous. This is you though.
Yeah. And then I have another one which is actually a lot more problematic because look at this. It is Diane von Furstenberg's place, which is it is so ostentatious, ostentatious and mixed match patterns and just so bright and like very arty. So like I like a place that looks
looking at it.
I like a place that looks very arty. Like it looks like an art piece on its own. So those are my faves. But probably if I had to pick one that I probably could live in, it would be Bryce Dallas Howard's.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that our styles are so very, very different.
But on that note, like today we chatted to Michael Porter, who's the executive producer at the Home Channel. The Home Channel has amazing home content. If you're interested in that, like me, I come from a family of renovators, so I should say that.
Oh gosh, that's such a. As an editor, like just listening to what you said, you were like, I come from a hoe. I come from a home of.
I come from a
Yeah,
home.
careful.
I come from a home of renovators, so this is kind of like
Yeah.
my speed. But if you like renovations and everything around the house, like Michael explains more, the Home Channel has it, but they have this amazing new show called Afrimaxx, and it's a pan-African production which showcase fascinating art and culture from all over the continent. And the show has filmed in many countries over the last 6 months, including South Africa, Mauritius, Malawi, Rwanda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Zambia, Congo, and Botswana. So it's like it tells you about different art from around the country, architecture, jewelry, everything to do with art and that kind of, and it's not necessarily the kind of stereotypical art or jewelry that you would expect from Africa. It's different things. It's amazing things that they discovered. So this is our interview with Michael Porter, executive producer at the Home Channel, chatting about Afrimaxx.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you, Karen?
I'm great.
Good.
So tell us more about Afrimaxx.
Okay, so Afrimaxx is a project that has been a couple of years in the making, actually, but it's really a show about showcasing what's happening in African creativity, design, arts, all those sort of the creative spaces, because we internally just had various discussions. We, as the Home Channel, we like beautiful things. And we've been showcasing beautiful homes and things like that, but there's so much more out there. And coming from Africa, there's a sort of a negative story around Africa that the media loves to portray, with the starving children and the dirty water and the dry land and things like that, which is, I mean, on some level, yes, it's true, but on other levels, there's so much more that Africa's got going for it. So Afrimaxx is something that came out of an initial project we did as the Home Channel, and then we partnered with DW, who's the German national broadcaster, to sort of see if they would be willing to engage, because to leverage off their networks to get into other African territories and things like that. So yeah, it's really become a sort of pan-African showcase of design, creativity, and the arts. And it's wonderful. The response to it so far has been amazing. Because we're really getting to see some awesome stories. And I must say, even for our team who were excited about what Africa has to offer, we've been surprised by some of the things that have come out of some of the territories in terms of the bold creativity and the enthusiasm and the sort of unhindered creativity that people are using and not being shy to try, even under some rather trying circumstances. So yeah, it's a showcase of what Africa has to offer to the world, really.
So can you give us examples of sort of the stories that you are telling within Afrimaxx?
Yeah, so I mean, we've got some great stories around food, and they are a mixture of sort of more traditionally based food that have been re-envisioned in a modern way, and also sort of more international food that has been given an African flavor. So we've got some great stories from Mauritius. Chef Pugh is one of them. Beautiful, beautiful food coming out of her kitchen. And then alternatively, there's another story about sort of large land snails and how they're prepared. So it's quite a dichotomy. And then, so from a fashion perspective, that's also a big aspect. Because I mean, we've all seen the beautiful creative or the beautiful designs in fabrics that come out of Africa, and people are doing beautiful fashion that's kind of traveling worldwide. Another one we did is somebody who's creating beautiful timepieces, so magnificent watches right here in Africa, but sort of high-end, beautiful handmade stuff. And then we're talking to a lot of artists. So some great, Mbongeni is one of them, who is doing artworks out of recycled plastic. So literally plastic bags that he's picking up and turning into the most magnificent pieces of work. And beyond that, architecture stories, stories around, sure, now that you asked me the question, I've got to think quite hard about what they are, but hugely diverse. So anything design, so product design. So as I mentioned, the watches, but then also people creating sort of handbags and footwear. Sticks also goes into the fashion space, but art is a big one. So conventional art, but then also art outside, so graffiti art and sort of installation art that's happening as well. So yeah, it's broad and varied, and it kind of it's slightly off center of what the home channel would normally do, but it's so exciting to be showcasing these stories because it just kind of enlivens the enthusiasm for the creative space in Africa particularly.
So what has surprised you the most?
I think the diversity of what we are finding, and also the sort of modern take on everything that we're seeing. So some really cool stuff is the essence of Africa, which has been brought out in a modern way, and not in that sort of traditional. I always want to refer to the African curio style, like carved wooden animals and masks and things like that, and woven baskets. I mean, they're beautiful things, but that's not all Africa has to offer. So the I don't know, it's quite fascinating to see how African creators are not scared to try, and they're not being driven by what's happening in the world, but they're bringing some great new thinking to the world of design and creativity. And that's been it's been really eye-opening, because even in countries which are not necessarily thriving economically, people are still bold enough to give it a try. And the best part about that as well is that we're starting to see how they are gaining traction internationally. And that's a big part of why we're doing the show as well, to kind of give exposure to these people, because if we can support Africa, then Africa is open to the world, really.
Yeah.
And that's another big philosophy from DW side, is that they want to sort of empower economies and communities and get the word out. So it's why it works so well as a partnership from that side.
So, like, as you were saying, we see so much of like the rest of the world being inspired by Africa, especially now. And I mean, we've seen it with content everywhere. But like, have you also noticed like a hunger for this kind of like African lifestyle content, especially among younger like viewers? Because I mean, we've seen it, like Instagram has made it everything like available to everybody.
Yeah. Yes. I think what kind of comes out of it is that the world has seen Europe, the world has seen what comes out of America, the world has seen these things, and they've become, I don't want to say generic, because there's still a lot of sort of evolution in those spaces, but the exposure to African creatives is fresh, and it's different, and it's not the normal stuff that you're going to see where you go to sort of a high-end store in New York or Paris or whatever. But there are things that would sit really well in those spaces. And to your point, I think Instagram has certainly opened up the world and opened up the world's eyes, because they are, when you look at there's reams and reams and reams of absolutely beautiful content that is being put up onto Instagram. And it just goes to show you that, like, this sort of globally connected world that we live in has changed the shape of what's possible for anyone, sort of even the sort of deepest, darkest Africa, as people like to call it. You can get yourself out there. And this is kind of an amplifier to what people are doing, because that's also a huge source of where we're finding stories. Social media is just there's so much out there, and you stumble across some great things, and then you get to expand on what they're showing of their own work, and elaborate the stories and get sort of deeper into the detail, which is really exciting. So
tell me more about your journey with the home channel. I'm curious.
Well, I've been around for quite a long time. I actually started my career at the home channel way back in 2005 as an intern, and I've just I've been in and out a few times. I've left a couple of times, gone and had sort of different adventures. But it's a fun place to be. I mean, we've got some great content that we create in-house, and we also showcase some really cool international content as well. And it's a space that speaks to me, because I'm into sort of design and lifestyle stuff. So yeah, and it's been a good journey of evolution for me and growth. And this Afrimaxx project has certainly pushed us beyond the sort of the comfort zone that we've had. But yeah, so we kind of refer to ourselves as the sort of local lifestyle channel, although some of our content is local, some of it's international. It's about kind of showcasing what's going on in the world of design, interiors, anything home, gardening, food. We do a little bit of health. I actually present a health show on the channel as well. So yeah, but basically it's anything in and around the home that is going to impact the way you live, sort of in your home.
So, what other amazing like local productions like can we enjoy? I know you mentioned some now, but like more specifically titles.
Yeah, so we've got a great show called Design for You, which is kind of the flagship design show where we talk to interior designers in the local industry. We've got Real Health, as I mentioned, which is it's completely sort of holistic health based. So a lot of sort of lifestyle interventions that you can do to basically live your best and healthiest life. We're in production at the moment in the second season of a show called The Property Game with Proverb. He's the presenter on that one. And that's kind of influencing, well, not influencing, but it's somewhat educational around how you can make money out of property, grow your portfolio from the point of view of investing to flipping to buy to let or whatever the case may be. So it's a like stories of success stories, really, which is great. And it's great that we've got a second season of that, and Proverb has come along for the ride once again, which is always good. Design for You, Palani Boo is our presenter on that one. And then we've got another show called Finest Homes, which is also sort of very high-end design, architecture showcases. That one, the last season we did was with Leanne Williams. And yeah, so and then the shows kind of vary. There are we've got a studio-based property show which dives a bit more practically into the world of buying and selling property. And then we're very excited to have a new season of our gardening show, The Gardener, which is with Tanya Fissa, which does very well. Viewers love her mad character. And also it's really cool to see how many people are keen on gardening. I think that's also another space in the home realm that has changed shape quite significantly. It's no longer sort of an old ladies sport.
Yeah.
There's some really cool things happening, beautiful design. On the high end, there's amazing landscaping design happening. But also, it's great to see that younger people are getting out there and getting into their gardens. And even if it's a patio garden with a couple of pots, but kind of turning their spaces into a nice green space that you can actually enjoy and live in. So, yeah, so it's a lot of inspirational stuff, a lot of educational stuff. We try to kind of give people inspiration into what they could be doing, from the very high-end stuff, which is all the big dreams, right through to the smaller projects that they could jump on the weekend, and then build a bookshelf or rearrange their home, organize their cupboards, and turn it into a bit of a brighter space. So yeah, all about living well.
Thank you so much, Michael. This was very informative, and
That's a great pleasure.
And I'm so excited for everyone to see Afrimaxx and everything else on the home channel. But thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
That was our interview with Michael Porter, the executive producer at the Home Channel. You can find out more about Afrimaxx at their website or on the actual channel on DStv. So now we're going to be doing our favorite segment of the week, which is where we talk about what we've been crushing on for the last week. So, Leanne, what have you been crushing on?
I have been crushing on a documentary, which is a bit of a change for me. But it is The Beatles Get Back. It's streaming on Disney Plus, and it's like 9 hours of redigitized footage from the Get Back session. So I know very little about the Beatles. It was not something I grew up with. Like, I'd obviously known of them, but I was not familiar with their music. But my husband and his friend are like obviously big Beatles fans or music fans, as it were. And they wanted to watch this. And basically Peter Jackson, the guy who made Lord of the Rings, and he also did a documentary called They Are Not Dead. He got a hold of 150 hours worth of footage from the Get Back sessions. And it was the Beatles' last album and their last ever performance. After they'd like taken a break from touring and stuff, they decided to get back in studio and do like this thing. And it's just so interesting. So because it's been redigitized, so it's old film, but it's been made to look really good. And you're seeing them as it was. Like it's amazing quality. Watching them create is insane. Like there's this part where they're in the studio and they have like basically 3 weeks to come up with a whole album and a performance. And so they're in this room and they're just like doing stuff. And you have like managers coming in and like the TV guy coming in because it's all being filmed for a documentary at the time. And like there's like all the management is talking and they're debating what to do and where to go. And in the background, like people are talking really loudly. And in the background, you just see Paul McCartney on the piano playing. And as he's playing, he's coming up with Let It Be. And insane to watch because you can see it's like
Sure.
nothing. Like he's just messing around on the piano, and it's the first chords
Yeah.
of Let It Be, and it's turning into something. But you can hardly hear it because it's like everybody is shouting in the forefront about other stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you are a Beatles fan, it is really, really worth it. It's 3 episodes. They're super long. I think the middle one's like 3 hours. But so worth it. And like it culminates on their rooftop concert that they did, which was just amazing. So yeah, check out The Beatles Get Back. It's streaming on Disney Plus. Really, really cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Rebecca, what have you been crushing on?
Well, I've had a bit of a rough week, and I think YouTube picked up on that. The YouTube algorithm picked up on that. And so I was just sort of like watching videos of like the meaning of life and religion and what it all means. And eventually I got to a video of Stephen Fry talking about religion. And then I was like, okay, cool, you made some good points, but actually now you've just reminded me of something called QI that I used to watch religiously when I was younger. And I think all the episodes are now on YouTube. And so I've been crushing on QI. I've only been watching the episodes with Stephen Fry though, because I don't know. I'm not so sure about who's the new lady? Nancy something.
Sandy.
Taking over. Sandy. Yeah. See, it just doesn't. I'm too scared to watch it with Sandy because I feel like Stephen Fry made QI. And then side note to this, also the No Such Thing as a Fish podcast. Which is what initially was like something someone showed me in 2014 or 2013, and that was my initial like introduction into the world of podcasts. And so it's more of like a throwback week for me, like most weeks. Living in the past, that's not a good sign. But yeah, it's been QI for me this week.
Okay, that's cool. Not cool that you've been struggling, but cool that you've been rediscovering these joyous things that you loved. That's not that's not cool. I hope you get better soon.
Jeez, I'm fine, guys. It's just like we just have moments, where you're like, oh man.
I don't want people to say like Rebecca like a clear cry for help, and Ken was just like, okay, moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So for me, my this week, I am incredibly delayed, but I finally watched season 4 of Stranger Things. I've never been the but I just finally found the time. And then when I did start, I was like, oh my word, why did it take so long to watch? It's so lekker. But I've never been the biggest Stranger Things fan. Enjoyed the first season, and after that I just like watched out of chore. And then this season, I also started watching out of chore because I was like, I'm gone this far, I might as well just watch it. And then it was so good. And I was like, it's been so long since I watched season 1, but I even think I might love this season more than season 1. Like, I was just so enthralled with like the mystery and the story, and 4 seasons with these characters. I love them so much. And even the new characters like Eddie, immediately 1 episode I was like, I love this guy. And but the one problem that I do have is that because they have such a big cast of characters, the characters are split up into 3, and there's 3 different storylines happening. So there's one in like Russia, and then there's one in California, and one in Hawkins. So, they're all sort of interesting. Oh, and at some point there's 4 also, because I don't know where 11 is somewhere else. But it's very interesting. But I was definitely more into the Hawkins group. And I just wanted, like, when like the episode would change and it would go to Russia or California, I'd be like, oh, I just want to get back to Hawkins. I want to know what's going to happen next. So, but I mean, not like the others were bad. They were still pretty good. But yeah, it's just, I'm really crashing on Stranger Things season 4. So if you're like me and the last few seasons kind of put you off and you're not as keen on it, I would suggest watching this season. I think it's a great season of television. It's so well done, well written. Everything looks good. The acting, freaking Sadie Sink. who plays Max, is so excellent in the season. Like, I died. Obviously Millie Bobby Brown, once again, top of her game. The others are also good, but those two for me were like, and of course, I don't know, Joseph, whatever, that plays Eddie. Another. So those are probably my top three actors this season. But yeah, like, if you're on the fence, because I know everybody's heard of it, but I mean, if you're on the fence, give season 4 a chance.
Can I ask? So I've watched the other 3 seasons. I still haven't attempted season 4. It looked too scary. So I'm not a big horror scary. I'm scary. I don't like scary things, and it just looked way horror compared to previous seasons, which is why I haven't attempted it yet. So how scary is it?
It's pretty scary. At one point I went like, before I used to be like, these monsters don't scare me that much, but like, creepy shit does. And then something happened and I just went like, and like, there's some very grotesque looking bodies. Like, the villain this season does creepy things to the bodies, and I was like, turned away. I mean, I'm not the best judge of cat. I don't watch a lot of horror, so I can't tell you. So for me, it was scary for the things that I watch, and I don't really watch horror. So, I mean, probably somebody who watches more horror will tell you it's not that bad. So maybe it's not that bad, but obviously my gauge is very different. So I find it a bit scary, but I was just so into it that I didn't also care so much. But I did. But also, I got very into it in the beginning. But as the season went on, it got scary.
This is my fear.
It's too late to turn back now. It just reminded me of when I was in primary school, and they had this house of horrors, this tunnel of horror at the Fate, and then the actual thing had you crawling under the stage of the school, and then there were like things that grabbed you, and the first thing grabbed me, and I crawled back out. I was like, nope.
No, just hard pass. Hard pass.
Yeah.
So, but it was too late. I was too far in the tunnel to turn back. So, but no, I think it's still good.
I have a friend who, because I said the same thing to them, and they were like, no, they just fast forward the scary bits. And I was like, I don't think that's the same. Like, you can't, I don't know. I don't want to ruin the watching, like the visual experience of it by fast forwarding. But I was like, maybe I'll do that then.
It takes you by surprise also.
Yeah, here's a tip, Leanne. You'll be surprised. Like, actually, if you watch something and turn the sound off, it might actually half the scariness of the scenes. I've done that before.
Yes, because sound.
So, like, choose one. Basically, either close your eyes or close your ears, and then it won't be as intense. Just a tip to get through the entire season.
I back that. Cool. I will give it a shot. Thank you.
Anytime.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we'll be back with another great guest, another great topics, more great topics, just a fun time. Yeah, so see you next week. Today's episode is brought to you by Syntech. Syntech is a technology company that sources and distributes industry-leading products and brands from around the world. Me, you can find at Karen Walby on Instagram, at Karen Walbys with an S on Twitter, and sign up for my newsletter, Wildest Dreams, at wildestdreams.substack.com. The podcast can be found at Crushing on Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find us at What's IGN Crushing On YouTube, and you can find more information about this and all our other episodes on our website, crushingonpodcast.com. Send any feedback to mail@crushingonpodcast.com, and you can send us voice notes at +27 78 362 2566. Join our Facebook group, Crushing On Club, where we chat about the show, celebrity news, recommendations, the whole shebang. The show is produced by me, Karen, as well as Rebecca Barches and Leanne Phillipson. The show is edited by Rebecca Barches. Our logo was designed by Nathifa Maroof, and the show was created in partnership with IGN Africa. If you like the show, tell everyone that you can, any way that you can. Keep up to date with episodes by subscribing to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review the episodes on Apple Podcasts, as it helps others to find the show. We'll be back next week with another in-depth conversation with a pop culture lover. See you then.